Ever been in an interview where everything's going smoothly and then bam, they hit you with a question you didn't see coming? Like, tell me about a time you failed, but make it funny. Or if you were an animal, what would you be and why? Your brain goes blank, your heart's pounding, and all you can think is, how the heck do I answer this? Trust me, I've been there. That moment of panic is totally normal. It's not about having the perfect answer on the spot. It's about how you respond when you don't have one ready. In today's video, I'm going to walk you through 5 ways to handle curveball questions like a pro, without freezing, without rambling, and without saying something you'll regret the minute you walk out the door. So let's dive in. Now, first things first, don't panic. Seriously, just breathe. You don't want to just show up and throw up. In fact, that's often when people say things like, "Oh wow, great question. I've never thought about that." Then proceed to word vomit their way through a confusing answer. They do it again 2 minutes later. "Oh, such a great question. Glad you asked. Great question." Stop it. Half the time, the questions are far from great, and you don't need to give false thanks to buy yourself some time. Instead, just take a moment to pause and be comfortable with your pause. Alternatively, combine your pause with 5 magic words. Let me think about that. Now, that one sentence gives you a buffer. It shows you're thoughtful and it buys you those precious few seconds to gather yourself. And as a pro tip, smile when you say it. It disarms the tension in the room and in your brain. And look, just to share something personal here, lately I've been watching a lot of interviews and podcasts with people like Vin Yang, the communication guy, Vanessa Van Edwards, who breaks down human behaviour, and Jordan Peterson, who, whether you agree with him or not, is pretty captivating to watch. And here's what I've noticed. They use the pause very well. They don't rush their responses, they think. They give their words space. And it makes them sound calm, confident, and in control. So guess what? You can do the same in interviews. Pausing isn't a sign of being caught off guard. It's a sign of self-awareness. I remember one client, Ben, super smart, super prepared, but in one interview, they asked him something totally left field. If you had to teach a class tomorrow on any topic, what would it be? He panicked, said something random about astronomy. He's not even into space, but had watched something on Netflix earlier that week. Now, what he could have done is pause, smile, and say, "Let me think about that." Then chosen something he actually could teach, mentoring junior analysts or leading a team in his line of work. You know, something that aligned with the type of work that he actually did and that might have allowed him to position himself as someone who could do that sort of thing for the company. So yes, whatever you do, don't just jump straight in with an attempt to look razor sharp. A thoughtful pause beats a panicked answer every time. Now, option 2, and if you've watched any of my previous videos about interview questions, you'll know this is probably one of my favorites. Ask clarifying questions. When you get a question that's vague or just weird, don't be afraid to ask a question back. So let's say they ask, "How would you handle a situation where your manager is wrong?" You could curiously say, "Okay, now do you mean wrong factually or wrong in terms of how they're handling a situation with the team?" Now, this gives you 2 things. Number 1, it gives you more time to think. And 2, it gives you clarity so you don't end up answering the wrong version of the question. In fact, this is a great way to deal with 90% of the questions you get in interviews, including the inevitable "tell me about yourself." So if you've not yet watched my video going into detail about that, I'd highly recommend you go take a look, as I get messages almost every week from people telling me that it's been an absolute game changer for them. Now, another time a hiring manager asked someone I was coaching, "How would you deal with conflicting priorities?" Now, that's a big question. So the candidate asked, "Would you like an example from a team setting or an individual task I was managing?" The interviewer clarified, and the candidate gave a much stronger, more targeted answer. And this is what is often meant when people say the key to winning at interviews isn't just answering questions, it's asking questions. Because if you ask the right questions, the interviewer will practically tell you what they want to hear. All you then need to do is fill in the blanks, and that's actually where the next method comes into play. So number 3, use the STAR method. Now, once you've got a handle on the question, it's time to deliver a structured, clear response. Enter the STAR method: situation, task, action, result. So let's say they ask, tell me about a time you had to work under pressure. Don't just say, yeah, I'm good under pressure. Instead, give an example. So explain the situation and provide some context. So set the situation, something like, when working as a Chief Commercial Officer at Bank X, I led a high-stakes client project with a 12-week timeline that suddenly got cut in half. Then talk about the task. I had to ensure we delivered a comprehensive presentation, including market analysis and recommendations on time and to our usual high standards. Now, next up, explain the action you took. So I quickly reorganised the project plan, prioritised key tasks, delegated effectively to my top team members, and kept the client informed and confident throughout. Then finally, the result. We met the new deadline, earning the client's praise and securing a repeat contract. And that's STAR in action. It tells a story, it shows your thought process, and it gives a clear result. Think of STAR like GPS for your answers. You're guiding the interviewer through your story, step by step. No detours, no getting lost, just clear, structured storytelling that shows exactly how to handle real situations. Now, some recruiters and interviewers are actually trained to keep an eye out for this. Now, when I was recruiting, I would get feedback that confirmed this. Hiring managers would run through a checklist of feedback and would often say, yeah, John was good, he answered well, used a STAR format, and everything was simple to follow. And guess what? That's all hiring managers want most of the time. Ideally, if you can explain things in a way that is simple enough that a 6-year-old could understand them, then you're going to be okay. So just get to the point and keep it short. Most people are so intent on sounding smart that their answers end up being way too long, too complicated, and completely go over the head of the very people that they are trying to impress. So with that, I'll end this one right here and move on to the next tactic, which is number 4. Connect it back to you. So here's the thing. Curveball questions are often less about the right answer and more about how you think. So whether we're looking at situational questions where you can use the STAR method we just spoke about, brain teaser questions where they want to hear you talk through your thought process, or what seem like completely random questions like, what animal best represents your leadership style? Don't sweat it. Ask yourself, what skill are they really testing? Are they looking at creativity, leadership, self-awareness? Pick something that ties back to your strengths. So you might say something like, I'd be a dolphin because I like to think I'm collaborative, intelligent, and good at bringing people together without needing to bark orders or dominate the room. Is it a weird question? Sure. But does your answer get across the skills a lot of employers want from their management team? Absolutely. And that's the real trick when a question feels abstract or odd. Just ask yourself, what's the skill underneath this? Is it communication, leadership, creativity, adaptability? Once you know the skill they're sniffing for, match it with something you've already done. That way, your answer feels natural, even if the question doesn't. Now, last but not least, technique number 5, be honest and reflective. If you really don't know something, it's okay to say that. Just don't stop there. Instead, follow up with what you would do. So let's say they ask, what's your experience with software A, but you've never used it? You can say something like, I haven't used that exact platform, but I've worked with similar tools like X and Y. I usually pick up new systems quickly, and I'd be confident in doing the same here, even if I need to jump on an extra course or something to make sure I hit the ground running. Now that shows honesty and problem solving, and that's exactly what interviewers want to see. And that really is the golden rule. Never end on, I don't know. Instead, end on, here's how I'd figure it out. That shows resourcefulness, because employers want people who just get stuff done. Now, like anything interview related, a great way to get familiar with this sort of thing is practice out loud. So here's a bonus that ties all of this together. Practice out loud, because under pressure your brain gets foggy, but if you've been there and done it before, that autopilot takes over. So record yourself, watch it back. Yes, it feels awkward, and that's fine. The more you practice, the more natural it will feel in the moment. Confidence generally comes as a result of comfort. And if you can get comfortable answering all kinds of different questions under pressure with enough time, you'll become confident in doing so. So let's recap. When you get thrown a curveball, stay calm and buy time. Clarify the question if needed, and use STAR to tell a structured story, and then tie it back to your skills. Now here's something powerful. You don't have to use these strategies in isolation. In fact, I'd recommend combining them. My go-to flow. So follow steps 1, 2, and 3 in that order. Pause, clarify, then answer with a STAR story you already know. Because when you question effectively, you control the direction of the conversation. And that means you get to bring the answer back to something you've prepared for instead of fumbling through something you haven't. You don't have to be perfect. You just have to be present, prepared to think, and confident enough to share your stories with enthusiasm. Remember, interviewers aren't looking for robots. They're looking for real people who can adapt, stay cool under pressure, and think on their feet. And now that's you. If you want to stop winging interviews and start walking in fully prepared, my Career Growth Accelerator program is perfect for you. We'll run through your STAR stories step by step in one-to-one coaching calls, giving you the chance to practice your answers and get constructive feedback and build the confidence to ace your next interview. I'll also help you prep your outreach strategy and position you as the top choice before you even walk into the room. Check the link in the description below and book a call, and I'll see you there.